If you're happy to have Saints football back, go down in the comment section, type "Eat That W." I know they didn't get a W last night, but still, type "Eat That W" down in the comments. I'm Will Scott. Welcome in to Saints Now. And normally during the season we'll do Overreaction Monday, but since the Saints played on a Saturday night, welcome in to Overreaction Sunday. We're going to be breaking down some things we're seeing on Saints Twitter, some things we saw in the Saints game last night. And our first overreaction is cut Ian Book. Ian looked okay last night. Not great, not terrible, but should the Saints cut Ian Book? I think that this is not an overreaction. I think this is something that could actually happen because when you look at the Saints depth chart at QB, Jameis is the clear QB1. Andy Dalton is the clear QB2. Andy looked great last night, by the way. Ian Book, though, has not looked great as a Saint, and I don't think that it's a guarantee that he makes this football team because a lot of teams just carry two quarterbacks. The Saints might be one of those teams. Not to mention, they just brought in KJ Costello, who we'll probably see in their next preseason game, to compete with Ian Book as QB3. So another reason he might not make this team is because, let's say an emergency QB situation comes up, you can just put Taysom Hill in the game and he can play quarterback. So I think Ian Book's chances of making this football team are getting more and more slim when you look at the current depth chart and when you look at the roster and you look at some of the cuts that the Saints could make. Ian Book is not a lock to make this football team. It's very possible that he will get cut. What should the Saints do? Should they keep him or should they cut him? Type C for cut or type K for keep down in the comment section. Let's talk about Tre'Quan Smith. Is his stock going down after last night's game? I would say this is accurate. Obviously, the Saints are very loaded at the wide receiver position. Smith could be kind of forgotten about. He just had one reception. It went for 15 yards last night against Houston. And, yeah, I think he's going to make the team, but I don't know how involved he's going to be in this offense. His stock is definitely going down a little bit. He dropped a perfectly thrown fade pass from Ian Book in the end zone as well. So that deserves a come on, man, I would say, in terms of Tre'Quan Smith. Will he make the roster? Type Y for yes or type N for no. I still think he's going to make this team, but much like Ian Book, he's certainly not a lock to make the 53-man roster. Type Y for yes, type N for no. It is the pinned comment on today's video. When an ad break comes, go down, chime in. Is Tre'Quan going to make the team? Before we get into my next overreaction, I want to talk to you guys about Aura because Aura is going to get you near real-time alerts on suspicious credit inquiries. So if an obnoxious Falcons fan steals your credit card information and you're in New Orleans and you get a random charge in Atlanta, Aura's going to alert you. It's very tough to check your bank account every single day. Aura's going to do that for you. You can start your 14-day free trial at aura.com/chatsports. That link is going to be in the comments and the description of this video. Now, is RB3 going to be decided soon? We obviously have a clear-cut first two in Kamara and Ingram. Could a third running back, could someone kind of take that position pretty soon? I think this is an overreaction. I think there is still a lot of work to be done when deciding who's going to be the third guy. Here is what we saw last night from the Saints running backs. Dwayne Washington led the team in carries with 9, but he just had 19 yards. Tony Jones Jr. looked good. I don't think the stats tell the full story with him. 7 carries for 27 yards. Divine Exebo went for 26 yards. And Abram Smith, undrafted free agent rookie out of Baylor, looked pretty good. He went for 30 yards on 7 carries. Here is the current depth chart. So Kamara could get suspended. We've talked about this. Ingram RB2, Dwayne Washington, right now at least RB3. But Tony Jones Jr. played very well last night as well as Abram Smith. Speaking of Abram Smith, here is what Dennis Allen said. I thought he looked explosive running the football, and I thought there was a couple of really good runs that he made. But it doesn't matter how many good things you do. If you put the ball on the ground, that's an issue. Tony Jones Jr., let's talk about him again, because is he the best preseason player in Saints history? Maybe so, because it feels like every preseason he goes off for the Saints. He had a pretty good game last night as well. Again, I don't think the stats told the full story. He looked pretty elusive last night running the football. Now, if you're a real Saints fan, not a bandwagon Saints fan because the bandwagon is going to grow throughout the season when the Saints are winning the NFC South. If you're a real Saints fan, type gold if you are a subscriber as well. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're trying to become the #1 Saints channel on YouTube, youtube.com/Saints Today. Here's an overreaction. Is Trevor Penning trash? Let's just get to the next. Right? This is an overreaction, producer Patrick Seaman. This is a big overreaction. I know a lot of Saints fans on Twitter are kind of freaking out a little bit about Trevor Penning. He's got work to do. There's no question about that. He started off rough, but it's going to be cool to see how he progresses. He's got to come along. He's a rookie. Give Penning credit. He's still learning how to be an NFL player, right? He has not even played in a regular season game yet. There's going to be some room for growth for sure. I think James Hurst is going to start week 1 at left tackle as we take a look at the current depth chart. And Penning is eventually going to be that guy. He might be the franchise left tackle after losing Teron Armstead. You got Ryan Ramczyk. Feel good about him at right tackle. So it'll be interesting to see, but I think Trevor Penning is ultimately going to be the franchise left tackle. Just give him time. Is Chase Hansen the third best linebacker on this team? Is this an overreaction? Even after how well he played last night, yes, this is an overreaction. He is still on the roster bubble. I think he's going to make this football team if he continues to play well. Here's what he did last night. 6 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, an interception, a pass breakup. He was all over the football field. He looked fantastic. But again, when you look at this current depth chart, it's going to be fascinating to see how this comes along because not everyone on the screen is going to make this football team. Hansen right now competing for a roster spot, but him saying he's the third best linebacker is an overreaction. But let's keep an eye on him. He continues to prove himself, and maybe he can work his way into a starting spot on this football team. He's been a lot of fun to watch in training camp and throughout the preseason. Again, Chase Hansen, I think it's an overreaction now, but eventually he might work his way in terms of getting more playing time. Type 40 to show some love to Chase Hansen. Go down in the comments section. Show your love for Chase Hansen. Type 40 down in the comments section. And while you're down there, subscribe if you haven't already. YouTube.com/Saints Today. Is the defense going to dominate this season? And again, it's just preseason, but I think this is accurate. I think the defense showed last night that they have a lot of depth. I get it. It's a terrible Houston football team, but they just allowed 17 points, and it was a pretty solid showing for the defense. And I think the Saints defense is one of the best defenses in the league. When you look at what this defense has, when you look at who they brought in Tyrann Mathieu. They brought in Marcus May. This defense started very fast. They're impressive. The backups need a little bit of work. The defense just gave up 33 yards in the first quarter, 29 passing yards, 7 rushing yards. They forced 3 turnovers last night as well. I think that's the big storyline that comes out of that game defensively are the 3 turnovers. Go down, subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/Saints TV. We're bringing you multiple Saints videos each and every single week. And if you're a real one, go down in the comments section and type real one because that is the new motto at Chat Sports. If you're a real one, we'll give you a shout out on a future show.